Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be talking about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the aftermath of what have we seen on the race on Sunday. Now normally I do a review maybe a couple of days earlier than what I've done this time around. This should be going out on Thursday, but I just wanted to wait a couple of days and just see if any more news came out from what happened on the weekend, and of course it has dropped today, so I thought I'll do a video. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So of course, just going into obviously the context of that, if you didn't watch the race stream, of course Max Verstappen won the Formula 1 World Championship for the 2021 F1 season, and it didn't really matter to me personally who won the race, if it was Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, or in doing so they would win the championship because they came level on points going into it. But I think Lewis Hamilton had such a commanding lead. He was the Mercedes car was so much better that weekend, and obviously what unfolded was obviously Nicholas Latifi crashed on turn 14 in the last sector of the track. That brought out a safety car. Red Bull and Verstappen came in for a fresh set of soft tyres because obviously it was basically a free pit stop for them. Mercedes didn't want to lose track position because obviously if they went in then Red Bull might have stayed out, and of course Mercedes were dominating. They didn't want to lose that track position. But in terms of Red Bull then coming in on softs, it was the case that Verstappen then almost essentially had such better tyres than Hamilton, who had hard compound tyres for about 30 laps, that with one lap to go, with a final lap showdown, he overtook Lewis Hamilton, and I think the worst thing was just the way the FIA dealt with the situation, in terms of at the start they weren't allowing any lapped cars to overtake, and then a lap later that changed, and only the lap cars between Hamilton and Verstappen were allowed to go around the circuit. But of course they didn't get all the way around before it already stated that the safety car was ending. I just felt like it was a weird thing to do. We've never seen like a safety car situation like this before, where they've only let a certain amount of cars go around the track and be unlapped. Normally, if one car goes around, they all go around, and I think like for the likes of Daniel Ricciardo, for example, he wasn't allowed to go. Lance Stroll wasn't allowed to go. We've seen their onboards and their team radios now of really not understanding what the hell was going on. Carlos Sainz, who came P3 in the end, finished on the podium, great result from him. He wasn't sure what was happening because ultimately he still had them back markers in front of him, so he couldn't fight Verstappen and Hamilton for the win himself, because he finished third, but he maybe could have had a chance with soft compound tyres as well of jumping Verstappen himself. So I think the whole thing was just a bit of a mess, and Mercedes obviously were not happy about the situation, and basically felt like they were robbed because Hamilton dominated that race. And I still feel like, although it may not have been a red flag situation, I still feel like putting a red flag out, and we've seen red flags for less, let's be honest, this season. If they put a red flag out and then all of them were able to go into the pits, all of them were able to put soft compound tyres on, and it literally would have been its own sprint race, all the cars, its own sprint race for the last couple of laps or so. I think it would have been 5 laps if they red flagged it instantly. That for me would have been a better way of doing it, and whoever had won that would have been fair and square. The FIA wouldn't have got involved, Michael Massey wouldn't have been involved in that. But from what we saw, that last lap and the last few laps under the safety car, which then saw Max Verstappen on a fresher set of tyres straight behind Lewis Hamilton, so once they got started again, it was only a matter of time really, and Lewis Hamilton defended well, but we all knew it was only a matter of time before Max Verstappen took that lead and won the race. And I think it needs to change, and of course the reason why I'm putting it out today and I've waited a couple of days is because Mercedes have now said that they won't pursue the appeal process. Now they did put 2 appeals in on Sunday, but they were dismissed in a few hours or so. But of course we knew that they would put their own appeal in for that after the review on Sunday. But they've come to the conclusion this morning that they won't be putting their appeal any further. They've put, "We hereby withdraw our appeal. Together with Lewis, we have deliberated carefully over how to respond to the events of the season finale. We appealed in the interest of sporting fairness, and we have since been in constructive dialogue with the FIA and Formula One to create clarity for the future so that all competitors know the rules under which they are racing and how they will be enforced. And of course, that was another thing. It was all up in the air. Nobody really knew what was going on. The fans didn't really know. The teams didn't know. The engineers telling the drivers didn't know. It was just a bit of a mess, to be honest. So Mercedes have gone to say, we welcome the decision by the FIA to install a commission to go through thoroughly analyse what happened in Abu Dhabi and to improve the robustness of rules and decision making in Formula One going forward. We also welcome that we are invited as teams and drivers to take part in this. So I think that's an important thing, and I think Mercedes will continue to push this. It won't just be that we're appealing and the FIA is just going to go back to normal. Teams and drivers, and especially Mercedes, are going to get seriously involved in this and going to make sure that all rules are clear going forward. I also think it was important in this statement that they've also gone out to congratulate Verstappen and Red Bull. And I think a lot of people were saying, obviously Mercedes were being a bit petty towards what was happening on Sunday, and obviously, Max Verstappen did win the race, and it was nothing against what Red Bull would have done. If Mercedes would have been in the same position, I expect they would have done exactly the same thing, and Hamilton would have said jump Verstappen had it been the other way around. And of course Red Bull were saying racing should be done on the track, but ultimately if it was the other way around, Christian Horner would be crying as well. So I feel like it would have happened either way had it whatever way around it was. So I like the fact that Mercedes have gone on to say we want to express our sincere respect for your achievements this season towards Verstappen and Red Bull. You made this Formula One season battle truly epic, and we congratulate you, Max, and your entire team. We look forward to taking the fight to you on track next season. And I think ultimately, as somebody that didn't really matter, for me, it didn't really matter who won. I feel like whoever won that race on the weekend was thoroughly deserved. And I still think that. I think Max winning it, is deserving of that. And it was great to see, say, a new person winning the driver's title. I just feel like if it had been won a little bit differently, then nobody would be complaining about this. And I just feel like, Lewis on the day was deserving of the championship because he drove a mighty race. He was 10 seconds in the lead before that Latifi incident, and I just feel like he would have won that race quite comfortably. Obviously we know sport changes, but I just think maybe the way that the FIA approached it and the race director sort of decided the championship to an extent. So it was a shame, and obviously they said they didn't want to do that, but that's ultimately what happened. And I'm still under the impression that if we had a red flag and everyone would have been on soft compound tyres and we would have had our own sprint race to the end, then that would have been a better scenario. But I understand where they were coming from, that maybe it wasn't big enough for a red flag. But I just thought I'd do a video today because Mercedes have said that they won't be putting the appeal process any further, and Max Verstappen now will be officially confirmed as the Formula One Drivers' Champion for 2021. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Who do you think was deserving of the title? What do you think of the debacle really that we saw under the FIA on the last few laps of the race? If you're a new fan to Formula One as well, what did you think of it? Are you still going to be watching Formula One going into 2022? I certainly think that the Netflix series will have a lot to talk about before we start going to Bahrain for the next for the first race of the season in 2022. Let me know your thoughts. Please like the video as well. That really does mean a lot. And like I said, comment below your thoughts on it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. That really does mean a lot. And of course, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you very much. Take care. See you soon.